Do you suck at meal prep? Do you lack the confidence in the kitchen to make a good, healthy meal that actually tastes decent? Because all the recipes you find online are super complex, using a lot of ingredients that take hours of prep time, to where that leaves you discouraged and you just go through the Taco Bell drive-thru feeling like you have no other option. My name's Jordan, and I'm the head coach and owner of Phoenix Performance Coaching, where we empower gamers to reclaim their health, lose weight, and build the confidence to finally become the main character of their lives. And I want to show you our simple 3-step system on how we help our clients make meal prep stupid simple using the foods and ingredients that you actually enjoy eating. All of this and more can be found in our Healthy Adventures 1-Year Beginner's Handbook. And if you want a free copy of this, stay tuned until the end and I'll show you exactly how you can get that and more. And then after I show you how to meal prep like a pro, I'm going to give you 2 bonus tips. So stay tuned until the end to find out more. Step number 1 is you're going to create 3 lists: a list of proteins, a list of vegetables, and a list of grains and other forms of carbohydrates. Now, you'll probably be tempted to just make the list of all healthy foods or more whole foods. I encourage you to add in a few options that are foods that you actually enjoy eating, such as maybe chicken nuggets and chicken tenders, and then maybe like chips, tortilla shells, and mac and cheese, rather than just it being white rice, chicken breast, and broccoli. You can definitely have those in there, but you do want some meals that are going to be a little bit on the quote unquote fun side, or maybe on the slightly more processed side. So that way it makes things easier to sustain and adhere to. So you can have chicken breasts, chicken thighs, ground beef, ground turkey, chicken tenders, and chicken nuggets can be your proteins. Vegetables, I really encourage looking into frozen vegetables, canned vegetables, and obviously fresh vegetables. I think if you get a blend of all 3 options, you will always have something readily available. And frozen vegetables tend to be pretty solid, often in medleys, to where they have like a lot of different mixed options. So that way you're not sticking to just broccoli or just cauliflower. You could have a fajita veg medley that'll go really well with like a steak and tortilla shell. And then the grains, that tends to be where most of the fun happens. So feel free to let loose a little bit with the flavored rice packets, maybe pasta packets, macaroni and cheese, tortilla shells, chips. Also have your more whole food options like rice, maybe some quinoa. You can also add beans in this list as well. Step 2 would be picking 1 ingredient from each list, and that's going to make up the majority of your meal. In true tabletop RPG fashion, you can turn those tables into roll tables, roll 3d10 and let RNGesus tell you what you're going to eat, but that's only for the more daring adventurer. When picking your 3 ingredients, you can pick things like chicken breasts, broccoli, and white rice, but it also allows you to select steak, a veg medley, and a tortilla shell, and you're having steak fajitas. So you can see how these 3 lists of ingredients really allow for a lot of variety. And you also have the fallbacks of like the chicken nuggets and mac and cheese. When picking the ingredients, I strongly suggest having at least 2 of the 3 options be whole food. So it can be chicken nuggets, broccoli, and like a white rice versus chicken nuggets, broccoli, and mac and cheese. But that is still better than just chicken nuggets and mac and cheese, which most people will probably eat. You're at least getting broccoli and you're at least getting some vegetables in. I would urge you to have a more whole food grain option instead of mac and cheese, or do a leaner meat with mac and cheese. Step 3 is essentially just cook however you want to. If you are somebody who lacks confidence in the kitchen, I would strongly suggest just pan frying things, dicing up the chicken, throwing it in a pan with a little bit of olive oil while preparing a flavored rice packet on the stovetop and throwing a veg medley in the microwave can have an entire meal done in probably 15 to 20 minutes, however long it takes to prepare the chicken. And you'll probably have about 2 to 4 servings depending on how much chicken you are actually cooking. And if you're somebody like me who is deathly terrified of undercooked chicken, strongly suggest getting a meat thermometer. You can get them for as low as like $10 on Amazon. Starting off, that'll really help you get a better understanding of what cooked chicken looks like versus overcooked chicken, which is what I would do. I used to way overcook my chicken out of fear of undercooking it. And if you use a meat thermometer, you'll find out that chicken is cooked a lot sooner than you might think. As far as sauces and seasonings, do those how you wish, but be mindful of the sauces because sauces calories tend to add up fairly quickly. There are a lot of low calorie options like low calorie barbecue sauce where a tablespoon is like 5 calories. I would really urge you to lean that way versus like a ranch, which is really high in calorie. Seasonings, a common beginner problem is most people fear over seasoning, so they then under seasoning. Chances are, if you are afraid of over seasoning your meat, you are under seasoning. So go heavy handed on the seasoning. And I would also look at getting into like seasoning mixes rather than a single individual seasoning. So McCormick, they have chicken and steak seasonings. McCormick steak seasoning on chicken is actually pretty good. So recommend that. Next, when you are putting it on your plate, I would strongly suggest you map your plate with a third of it being protein, a third of it being your vegetable, and a third of it being your grains. So that way, you know, you're having a relatively proportionate blend of carbs, proteins, and fats. And you may have heard of the plate map. A quarter comes from protein, half comes comes from vegetables and a quarter comes from grains. I find that to be less realistic because A, we're often under eating our protein anyway, so let's bump that up. And having a half of your plate be vegetables seems to be less appealing. So if we just turn everything into a third, it increases our protein and it makes the plate look a little bit more appealing. Less thinking it's like, is that a quarter? Am I supposed to do a half? What am I supposed to do? A third of everything. Also, pro tip, just throw everything into a bowl, turn it into a burrito bowl, mix it all up, and it really allows all the flavors to mix and blend together while tasting really good. And it allows you to have a lot of variety with very little prep work. It's not the most aesthetically pleasing, but we are here for sustainability and adherence rather than going viral on Instagram. So that's how you properly cook a meal. But meal prep often has 3 steps to itself. You have to plan what you're going to make, you have to do the shopping run, and then you have to cook it. So we talked about step 3. I want to talk about steps 1 and 2. We kind of already covered step 1 with creating the lists. So one day a week, I strongly suggest sitting down, looking at your list, and picking out the ingredients that you want to cook throughout the rest of the week. That ultimately is your shopping list. When going shopping and doing your shopping run, stay on the outskirts of the grocery area. I'm sure you've heard that the inner part, the non-perishable area, is where a lot of the more highly processed foods are. And on the outskirts, you have your fresh produce, meats, dairies, eggs, etc. That tends to be more whole food options. Not that you can't have your processed food or your junk food, but making sure the vast majority of your calories are from the more whole foods. It allows for more realistic and sustainable results rather than just eating a lot of highly processed foods that are very calorically dense. So we just covered how to come up with our shopping list, how to survive the shopping run, and then most importantly, how to actually cook healthy meals and build that confidence in the kitchen so that way we don't feel like we are at the mercy of whatever fast food place is nearest to us. Now we're going to cover some more tricky waters where we get pulled out of our element and out of our comfort zone into situations where we have a little bit less control, like eating out at a restaurant or even worse, a buffet. My kryptonite is a goddamn buffet because the more I eat, higher value that is and the more I get for my money. And we need to talk about how we can actually cover that. So when going to a restaurant, the quickest and easiest way to be mindful of what we're doing, of how many calories we're eating are A, pre-log the meal, if we're tracking calories, which we should be, pre-log the meal before you eat it. So that way you know how many calories it is. And then B, cut that meal in half. So whether it is a burger or pasta or whatever it is, cut the meal in half and take half of it in a to-go box. So that way you are almost quite literally cutting your calories in half and then having lunch for prepped already for tomorrow. So you're cutting the meal cost in half by making it 2 meals. You are cutting the calories in half. And so it's a win-win all around. And it could be something where you get like a burger and fries, you cut the burger in half, put half of the burger in a to-go box, and then you eat the fries and the other half of the burger there. It allows you to enjoy the food that you want rather than trying to find a bland tasting low calorie option at the restaurant, which chances are they might not have. And also chances are it's not as low calories as what it says. And it still allows you to be present and enjoy the company there rather than focusing on, oh, how many calories is this? How many calories is that? Can I afford to eat that? Cutting the calories in half, great way. Next, buffets. Again, buffets are a bit of my kryptonite. So what I like to do is when I go to a buffet, I'll grab one plate, I'll sit down with it, and instead of trying to track everything individually, I will just snap a picture of it, have that mindset of the gram eats first, and then I will log it later. And then after my first plate, instead of immediately getting up and going for a second round, I will sit with myself for 1 to 2 minutes, sip on my 0-calorie soda, whatever it is, and kind of assess, do a mind-body scan. Am I hungry? Am I still wanting more? Or am I just craving more because I'm at a buffet and I'm a food completionist and I need to have one of everything? And having that time to kind of do that mind-body assessment will really help break that dopamine cycle that you're in where you're constantly eating. I love this dopamine. I need to get more immediately. And allowing you to break that cycle will give you time to actually focus on what your body is actually telling you and eat more intuitively. So ultimately, when you're at a buffet, just take a picture of the food so you can log it later. Be present in the moment with the company you're with and take a few minutes to assess how you're feeling after each plate. And after your first plate, if you're like, yeah, I'm still hungry, I can go for more, get a plate maybe half the size of what you normally would because you can always go back for a third plate. But if you have the food in front of you with an overheaping second plate, you will feel more compelled to eat all that and be risking feeling overly stuffed, overly full, feeling guilty, feeling full of shame, feeling like a piece of shit. And having smaller portions can really help reduce the risk of overeating. Bonus tip number 2, how to survive game night. I have an unwritten rule at my table where we don't have food at the table unless we are actually eating a meal and the game is paused and we're actually eating a meal. A couple things. Practice moderation. If you want to have snacks, I really like to take snacks. Like let's say there's a big bag of Doritos. I will pour 1 or 2 servings into a bowl, remove myself from the bag and have my bowl so I can eat that in moderation while still being engaged in the game, rather than mindlessly eating out of the bag and consuming half of a bag of Doritos. Opt for 0-calorie drinks. I'm on a Dr. Pepper kick. I have been for like years. I think it's less a kick, more of an addiction. Really, really simple way to reduce calories. I have a semi-hard rule where I don't drink calories unless I am intentionally partitioning calories aside to drink them, and having 0-calorie drinks while at the table can really help reduce the amount of calories you eat. You can bring healthy alternatives, but you don't want to be that guy that brings cheese and fruit to the party that everybody is bringing chips and dip and Doritos to. But having a bag of ready to grab and go cut up vegetables like celery and carrots, or a personal bag of whatever healthy snacks you're eating for yourself, no one's going to scoff at that. And if they do, fuck them. Another step that is often slept on is actually being engaged in the game. Don't be distracting yourself with your phone, making dice towers. Actually be active and engaged with what's going on in the campaign. This is more for players, less for DMs, and constantly taking notes, listening to the roleplay that's going on around you. Even if your character technically isn't supposed to know what's going on, you can still be engaged in the game and take part in how the world is evolving around you, rather than just being that passive player that is only there for combat purposes. And that'll allow you to really keep your mind occupied rather than constantly needing something to satiate you, being snacks. You can satiate that dopamine hit by being engaged in the game. That covers everything from planning your meals, going on a shopping run, cooking your meals, surviving a night out, and surviving game nights. If you want all of these tips and more, you can download our free PDF for the Healthy Adventurers 1-Year Beginner's Handbook. It is roughly 330 pages of just girthy goodness. It has a cooking and shopping guide in there. It has a sleep guide. It has a starter kit where if you are somebody who is just starting straight from scratch, the starter kit in here will be a really good jumping off point. And there's over 170 print grab and go workouts for you to plug and play. And all of this, 330 pages of girth, completely free. Just click the link below, join our Discord. It's under the Freebies channel, and you can have this PDF all for the low cost of joining a Discord. Again, completely free. Nothing's locked behind a paywall. Use the tools we talked about today. Use the other resources that are found in this book to really lay a good, strong foundation that you can build on. Lack of confidence in the kitchen and lack of preparation are two big driving forces to why people don't lose weight. They say it's from lack of time, but really it's lack of preparation and lack of energy. And the meal prep guide in here will really help cut down the mental bandwidth that it requires to meal prep and help boost your confidence in the kitchen to make it so you want to cook healthy meals. And once you start doing that and implementing some kind of movement, the weight should start falling off. And if you want a case study on exactly how we implemented these tools and more, I have a case study with Adam. I'm opening up all the curtains, showing you exactly how we got Adam down around 85 pounds in about 7 months. If you like this video and you want more of it, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, do all the other things other YouTubers tell you to do, and catch you on the next one.